The NFL season kicking off 4 months from this week. Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, the Vegas favorite to win it all after revamping that offensive line following all those issues they had with the Bucs in the Super Bowl. Also have the highest win total in the NFL. They've hit the 12-win mark in each of the last 3 seasons. That's right where it sits. The world champion Buccaneers just behind at 11.5. Now, they only won 11 games last season, had to win their last 4 to get there. And that's a Bucs team that Tom Brady, they don't have to have home field advantage. We saw that last season. They can go on the road and win. So maybe the regular season isn't as important to them as some other teams. Now, for the Chiefs, Andy Reid is Mr. Over. I mean, every single year he's been with Kansas City, he's hit the over, including last season. They went way over. The 11.5 win total, they won 14 games last season. So Andy Reid looking to keep that streak alive. Question is it worth the juice? We've got Sportsline's Emory Hunt joining us, picking win totals for the upcoming season, beginning with the favorites to win it all, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the over's juiced to 130. Is that still worth it, Emory?
It is definitely still worth it because you outlined it perfectly. He's always going over. This team is very talented. They have the best quarterback in football, an explosive offense. The run game should be better. Defensively, we saw them start to get better toward the back end of the season and into the playoffs. I just think this is a football team that screams 13, 14 type wins. Now we are expanded to 17 games, so it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but definitely going over that number easily.
That's a good point, and one that I should have pointed out going into this segment is there are 17 games this season, so everything changes. When you factor that in, how do you think that's going to affect the way people think about placing these over-under bets?
I think you're going to see people be a little bit more liberal in terms of, just going overboard and say, okay, well, there's one extra game. I give myself a little bit of cushion. But I do feel as though people are still thinking in terms of 8-8, 6-10, 7-9, those type of numbers that we've used to seeing and saying over the course of, 3 to 4 decades. It's going to take people time to get used to that 17-game number. So I think you're going to see a little bit of hesitance early. But once they realize, oh, man, it's 17 games, you're going to see people start to smash the over number.
So can't really look at the trends because of that. Bucs won 11 games last season. Maybe they would have won 12, though, had they played 17 games. So the over-under going into this season, 11.5. There is some juice there on the over as well at minus 125.
I'm going under. I think Tampa's offense is solid, but I also look at what they did last year. A lot of those games, in my opinion, were kind of fluky in the sense of some of those games that they won. And I think Tampa Bay will fall back down to the mean. I think they'll get to 11. 10 or 11 is the number for me, not going over that half, that hook. So I'm going right there under with that number with the Bucs.
And that would be a plus 105 for the defending champs at the under 11.5. All right, one of the other high over-under win totals is the LA Rams. Now they won 10 games last season with Jared Goff. They feel like they upgraded the quarterback position with Matthew Stafford. But Emory, that's such a tough division. Pete Prisco was saying he could see any of the 4 teams winning it, and the over-under is 10.5.
And they lost Brandon Staley, who's now the head coach over in Los Angeles with the Chargers. So what defense will we see with Los Angeles? I know they have 2 outstanding elite players in Aaron Donald and also out there on the corner in Jalen Ramsey, but you still have to get used to that new defense, acclimate to that new defense. And like Pete said, everyone around them got better. And Matt Stafford is still Matt Stafford. This is a guy that I think we may have overrated a little bit in considering that he's the one final piece of difference maker. I think he's about on the same par as far as productivity with Jared Goff. So I'm not going over that number. I'm going to go under.
Still hasn't won a playoff game, as many people have pointed out. 0-3 all time in the playoffs, so the playoffs don't matter for over-under win totals. Let's go to the NFC East and the Dallas Cowboys, the betting favorite to win the division. A lot of our people like the Washington football team to defend their title. The Cowboys over-under set at 9.5.
Who has the best quarterback in the division right now? That's the Dallas Cowboys. A healthy Dak Prescott, a revamped defense that just drafted every linebacker they could find. But also, you talk about an offense that was very productive last year without Dak Prescott. Now you add the best quarterback in the division to the mix. I think that number is low, so I'm going to go over that number. They may win 12 to 13 games, to be quite honest.
Wow, okay, and we're going to get Emory's best bet in a little bit. We'll see which one of these picks he likes the most. Let's move on to the New England Patriots. The over-under is set at 9. And again, with the 17-game regular season, If they go 9-8, you at least break even here. I feel like with everything they have been able to do, even though there are questions at quarterback with Cam Newton, Mac Jones, that 9 is a little bit low.
It is, especially when you consider all the defensive talent that they were able to bring in and got back. They went out and signed every eligible, outstanding tight end they could find. So this offense, this defense will be a lot better. So I'm going to go over that number. They may win 10 games, but definitely over the number. But you look at the improvements they made defensively, guys that are opting back in that were opted out. This will be a much better football team. They were a few plays away from the playoffs last year. I think they're able to find those little plays within the game to win, get over that 10 number, in my opinion.
Who's the quarterback, Emory, and how many games is he starting? If you think it's going to be eventually Mac Jones, when do you think that's going to happen?
2022. I think Cam Newton plays the entire season. Full off season now, doesn't have to deal with COVID like he did last year. I think he was affected by COVID heavily when he came back, and that's something that needs to be talked about for him. But going into this season, 2021, full off season, second year in the system, healthy, ready to go, added weapons around him, especially at tight end. So we'll see the best version of Cam Newton this season.
Interesting. That would be something if that happens. Emory Hunt riding with Cam Newton and the Patriots at over 9. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum here and the low end. The Houston Texans, the Deshaun Watson situations, it's just up in the air. Where do you go with the Texans sitting at 5?
And that's why you have to go under. You look at this number and you think, well, they should be able to win over 5 games. But who's starting at quarterback? If it's Deshaun Watson, he gives you at least 8 wins. But if it's going to be shake him up and pull out a quarterback and let that guy start, it's going to be under 5. So I just don't see them winning more than 5 games. So I'm going to go under that number. It's a tough season for Houston because of the uncertainty right now with Deshaun Watson and his situation.
All right, what about the Detroit Lions? They're also at 5. No uncertainty at quarterback there, though. They traded for Jared Goff.
I like Detroit. I'm going to go over here. That number to me is a little bit low. This team will pound you to death with the run game. Penei Sewell is going to be starting at right tackle. You're going to see a lot of the DeAndre Swift in the backfield. They have 2 good tight ends that they're going to feature. The defense should be better by default. And don't underestimate the coaching staff that was put together by Dan Campbell and what he can do to get that team in the right direction on both sides of the ball. So I do think they'll go over that 5 number and surprise some people because run game and defense can still win you games in the NFL.
Okay, how about your best bet of the games we've talked about here, the things that you like? What is your best bet for the season over under?
The Dallas Cowboys going over 9.5 wins. That team is just far too talented with a healthy Dak Prescott, a really good offensive front, good weapons on the perimeter. The defense added more help on the back end. Linebacker should be an impactful position now with, a healthy Leighton Vander Esch and Micah Parsons. And, they can go out there with Jalen Smith as well. They could run around, chase guys, and cover and match up. So I would expect the offense to be better, which will make the defense better by default. So I like the Cowboys to go over that number big time by 4. So I'm looking at 13 wins for Dallas.
13 wins for the Dallas Cowboys. Emory Hunt coming in hot here. He loves the Patriots and Cam Newton. He loves the Cowboys to go way over that 9.5 win total with Dak Prescott. All right, let's talk rookie of the years. We have 2 different rookie of the years in the NFL. There's an offensive rookie of the year. There's a defensive rookie of the year. Give us your offensive pick.
It would have been easy to go Trevor Lawrence, but I'm going to go with Justin Fields at plus 500. The reason being, you look at what Chicago was able to do with Mitch Trubisky. He got to the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years he was starting under Matt Nagy, but that defense is still good. And you look at that offense, Allen Robinson, Rick Cohen's coming back healthy. They still have Jimmy Graham. They have some other pieces around their quarterback. They just needed stable quarterback play. You add in a guy that's a dual threat, a +1 in the run game, and that's legit good in crucial situations. He played in many big-time games at Ohio State. I think he's a plug-and-play guy, and I think he's going to lead this team to the playoffs. So I'm going plus 500 with Justin Fields being a rookie of the year.
This draft was all about offense. It was the latest a defensive player has ever been taken in the NFL draft. Who is your defensive rookie of the year?
I'm going out on a perimeter. I look at Asante Samuel Jr. landing with the Los Angeles Chargers. Anytime you could take the ball away, that's what I want on my defense. You look up and he's playing cornerback, but he always has the football in his hands. He's going to be doing a great job feeding off that pressure they could provide up front and just picking his spots to take away that football and bring it back the other way. Normally, people are going to go for, okay, who's going to rack up the most tackles? You'll see people slam whoever's the top defensive end or top linebacker, but this time, take a little bit of a different approach and look outside on the perimeter. It's a passing league. Asante Samuel Jr. will find his way around a lot of passes as a rookie.
That's an incredible value there, 35-1 as well. Jump on it. Emory Hunt doing it for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Emory from Sportsline and giving us some winning picks here, mostly on win totals for the season. The one he likes the most is the Cowboys over 9.5. He said they're going to blow by that. He has them winning 13 of 17 games this upcoming season. Remember that. When you're betting over-unders, there are 17 regular season games now in the NFL. Andy Reid has hit the over in every season with the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why Emory likes over on the Chiefs. 12 wins as well. Up next, taking you to college, releasing our post-spring top 25. Some major quarterback changes at the top, which could give Oklahoma the edge with the Heisman favorite Spencer Rattler.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.